If you had walked past the Grandview Park playground on any regular afternoon, you'd hear laughter, kids chasing each other, parents chatting on benches, the usual rhythm of childhood. But there was one corner of that playground where the laughter never reached. A quiet corner, a shaded picnic table, and sitting there, always alone, was a little girl with bright hazel eyes, a soft smile, and only one leg. Her name was Emily Sterling, daughter of Adrian Sterling, the billionaire hotel tycoon. People imagined her life must have been all comfort and privilege. But the truth was far from that. Because no matter how wealthy her father was, he couldn't buy her the one thing she wanted most. A friend. Kids didn't mean to be cruel, but they were curious, hesitant, unsure. Some stared at her prosthetic leg. Some whispered. Others simply didn't know how to approach the girl who always sat with a bodyguard close by. And so Emily learned to smile through loneliness. She learned to pretend she preferred reading books instead of playing tag. She learned to say, "It's okay," when her father came home late, again, and apologized for missing another afternoon at the park. But inside her tiny chest was a heart that ached to belong. The day everything changed. One warm Saturday afternoon, something unusual happened. A man walked into the park carrying a small blue lunchbox in one hand and holding a little boy's hand with the other. The man was tall, scruffy, with the kind of tired eyes that carried years of hard days but also a sort of gentle strength. This was Evan Parker, a single father who worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. His son, Leo, was 5, small, energetic, and always full of hope. They didn't have much, but they had each other, and that was enough. Evan set down the lunchbox on a bench and said, "All right, champ. 10 minutes of play while Dad eats his sandwich." Leo nodded eagerly and dashed toward the playground. But he didn't join the group of kids on the jungle gym. He ran straight to Emily. "Hi," Leo said, waving with both hands and nearly tripping in excitement. Emily blinked, surprised. Hi. Why are you sitting alone?" he asked bluntly, like only little kids can. Emily shrugged. "No one wants to play with me." Leo frowned, genuinely confused. "Why not?" Emily looked down at her prosthetic leg, tapping it lightly. "Because of this." Leo stared at it for a long moment. Then he looked back at her and said the most simple, innocent thing. "Okay. But does it stop you from playing?" Emily's mouth fell open. "And no. Not really." "Great." Leo grinned. "Wanna play tag?" Emily's face lit up, hesitant joy, like she was afraid it might disappear if she blinked. "Yes, but I can't run fast." "That's okay," Leo said with a shrug. "I'll run slow." Just like that, he tagged her shoulder and dashed off at a comically slow jog. Emily burst into laughter, the kind of laughter she hadn't felt in months, and followed after him as best she could. Under the shade of the trees, Adrian Sterling stood frozen, mid-phone call, watching his daughter laugh. Really laugh. When 2 worlds meet. Evan finally noticed the billionaire standing nearby. He instantly recognized him, the face from magazines and business billboards. And there he was, staring at Evan's son like he'd just witnessed a miracle. Evan swallowed hard. "Sir, is everything okay? Leo's not bothering your daughter, is he?" Adrian shook his head slowly, still watching the kids chase each other. No, he's not bothering her at all." He cleared his throat, almost struggling to keep his voice even. "I've never seen her play with anyone." Evan softened. "Kids don't think the way we do. They just find each other." For a moment, the billionaire and the single dad stood silently, watching their children laugh in circles around them. Then Adrian said, "Thank you." Evan blinked. "For what?" "For raising a boy who sees hearts before differences." Evan didn't know what to say to that. He simply nodded. A routine of kindness. After that day, something beautiful happened. Every afternoon that Evan could spare, even if it meant skipping lunch or leaving work exhausted, he brought Leo to the park. And every afternoon, Emily waited on her picnic table, pretending to read but clearly scanning the park entrance. When father and son appeared, she would wave so wildly her hair bounced. The 3 became an unlikely little circle, 2 children whose souls simply clicked, and 2 fathers from opposite worlds who found quiet comfort in each other's presence. Sometimes, Adrian would leave meetings early just to watch. Sometimes, Evan would share small talk with him, awkward at first, then easier. Leo learned to help Emily climb the lower parts of the jungle gym. Emily taught Leo how to draw flowers with watercolor pencils. They invented games where running fast didn't matter. They laughed until their stomachs hurt. For Emily, it was the first time she felt normal. For Adrian, it was the first time he saw his daughter not just surviving, but living. For Evan, it was a reminder that he didn't need money to give his son a good life, just love. The day of the fall. One windy afternoon, something shattered their peaceful routine. Leo wanted to show Emily how he could balance on the tall wooden beam. Emily cheered him on, clapping excitedly. But the wind came stronger than expected. Leo wobbled, then slipped, and fell, hard. He hit the ground with a cry that froze both fathers in their tracks. Evan sprinted faster than he ever had, scooping his son into his arms. Leo's wrist was already swelling, and his face was white with pain. Emily burst into tears. "It's my fault. I told him to show me." "No, sweetheart," Adrian said, kneeling beside her. "It was an accident." But Emily was shaking, guilt washing over her like a storm. Evan tried to stay calm, but worry etched deep lines across his face. I need to get him to a hospital, but I don't have a car with me. It's in the shop." Without hesitation, Adrian put a hand on his shoulder. "Come with me. I'll take you." A hospital, two fathers, and a moment of truth. Adrian's private driver had them at the hospital in minutes. Doctors rushed Leo into the examination room, and Evan stayed behind, pacing like a man carrying the whole world on his shoulders. Adrian waited with him. "You don't have to stay," Evan said quietly. "I know," Adrian replied. "But I want to." Something in his voice, soft, human, made Evan sit down beside him. After what felt like hours, the doctor emerged with a calm smile. "A small fracture. He'll need a cast for a few weeks, but he'll be perfectly fine." Evan let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. Adrian closed his eyes, relief washing over him. Leo came out with a bright blue cast he immediately showed off. "Dad, Emily is gonna love this." Evan laughed through tears. "Yeah, buddy, she is. The gift of honest friendship." A week later, Adrian invited Evan and Leo to the Sterling home. Not the grand mansion people whispered about, but the warm, sunlit garden behind it where Emily spent most of her time. Emily rushed to Leo the moment he arrived. "I made your cast a sticker," she said proudly, holding a sheet decorated with stars and cartoon dinosaurs. Leo beamed. "Best cast ever." And just like that, they were playing again. Leo with his cast, Emily with her prosthetic leg, two imperfect little humans who fit together perfectly. While they played, Adrian turned to Evan. "I know your life isn't easy," he began gently. "I know you're working so hard to raise your boy." Evan nodded. "I'm doing my best. And it shows," Adrian said. "Because you're best, it saved my daughter's heart." Evan's eyes softened. Adrian took a deep breath. "I want to help you. Not as charity. As gratitude. And as a friend." Evan hesitated. "What do you mean?" "I want to offer you a position in my company. One that pays well, has benefits, and gives you more time with Leo." Evan's throat tightened. "Why me?" "Because you're the kind of man I want around my daughter," Adrian said simply. "And because sometimes, the strongest people are the ones who've had to fight the hardest." Evan looked at Leo and Emily laughing together, stickers flying everywhere. He looked back at Adrian. And he nodded. A new beginning. Weeks turned into months. With his new job, Evan spent more evenings with Leo, helping him with homework, cooking real dinners instead of microwave meals. Emily grew more confident. She no longer hid her leg behind long dresses. She laughed louder, walked prouder, and the two kids became inseparable, two hearts stitched together by kindness. Adrian often told Evan, "You changed her life." But Evan always corrected him. "No, our kids changed each other's." One afternoon, as they all sat watching the sunset over the Sterling garden, Emily leaned her head on Leo's shoulder. "Do you think we'll always be friends?" she asked. Leo grinned. "Why not? You're stuck with me." Emily laughed. And the adults smiled, knowing that sometimes the simplest friendships make the biggest miracles. Moral: true friendship sees hearts, not differences, and sometimes, one small act of kindness can change an entire life.